Hi, this is Luana Rubin, and I'm here at the Houston Quilt Festival in the SAQA Creative Force exhibit, and I would love to show you some of my favorite pieces here. There's an incredible wealth of talent and creativity and passion and just wow this year. When you first come into the exhibit, this is the piece that you see first, I think. This is what caught my eye, and it happens to be by a friend of mine, Melody Randol from Loveland, Colorado. You probably know that Equilter is in Boulder, Colorado, and Melody and I have run into each other at our local guild meetings and, of course, at the Bernina Teachers Retreat. So I just wanted to show you this beautiful piece of landscape art. I think we're all drawn to realistic, painterly art, and this is a piece that looks like brushstrokes but is actually tiny pieces of fabric that's stitched over in multicolor thread. A beautiful, detailed piece. On our journey from realism to abstraction, I stopped here at Orange Rose 2 by Paula Chung. I love the colors on this, they just vibrate. And if you look closely, you'll see that she uses silk du peony to add a special little layer of shimmer to the piece. Just gorgeous. This piece by Ruth DeVos, who's from Australia, creates an abstraction by a close-up on tiny little tendrils, little details that go off the page, which is breaking the rules, but I like it, don't you? A lot of artists are working with painting and texture and stitching, and this is a beautiful impressionist, therefore abstract piece by Marianne Williamson from Miami. Take a close look at the detail and the pearlescent shimmer of the paint under the stitching. And on our little journey down the abstract path, here we land in Pat Kroth's piece. You just can't help but walk up close to it and look at the tiny little details. It's a pleasure from a distance and up close. Take a look. This piece by Sandra Woock, which is called Blue Bamboo, White Breeze, I think is a reflection of what's going on in the textile and home dec and fashion industry, which is white is a huge trend. Here she has painted this piece and stitched it, but she's left a lot of white space. And as a trend, I think it reflects something going on in the mass consciousness that is a desire for purity, simplicity, and illumination. It's just beautiful and very restful to the eye. I love figurative quilts. Having a background as a portrait painter and figure painter, I'm always drawn to these pieces, but this is a very special type of figurative, or self-portrait perhaps, by Nida called Lost. Take a look at some of the details in here. She's got the mask on, the dominoes floating up in the air, all kinds of internal organs floating around her, and arrows pointing to the center of your uterus. And as someone who's just gone through menopause, I kind of like that. You have to smile when you look at this piece by Pamela Allen from Canada. This piece is called Mama Ruth, and it's a tribute to this woman who raised Pamela. And I think it's a tribute to all of the 17 children that she raised as well. There's so many little details and tchotchkes and beads and clothespins and so on, even beads that look like tiny little bird's eggs, and little stitched hearts in the center. Here's a beautiful textured abstraction by Averill Stuart-Head from Italy. It's called Intro d'Acqua. And again, it's a piece where you take a closer and closer look and you see layers and layers of texture and stitching and more layers. Just fascinating to look at. This piece is close to my heart because it touches on a subject that I am very concerned about, and as you may know, Equilter raises money for all kinds of charities, including environmental charities. This piece, No Room at the Table, is about the loss of species and habitat, and I think that's something we should all be concerned about. Take a close look at the details. I especially love the bear's face and the way the stripes on the zebra were handled. It's a huge piece too. Along those lines of environmental concern, in Colorado we've had a lot of fires this last few months, and Regina has made a piece here about the fires. And whether or not you believe in global warming, it's a very scary thing to live through these fires, and I think this piece really expresses that very poignantly and directly. Here's a piece that has figures again. They're abstracted because they're small. But it's again a very poignant image. It's called Traveling Companions on Life's Journey. And you see also a lot of stitched text in here, which is a huge trend at this show. Here's another piece by Nida called Disrupted. And you know, at this show it's mostly women, you have to admit. The eye goes directly to her images of the uterus. And I love it. I love her work. It has a sense of humor, but she's saying something very serious. Also, what I'm enjoying is the tiny little vignette pieces that are hung off to the side on some of these quilts. Very inventive. This piece is a shimmering example of that white color trend with heavy stitching and geometric abstraction, called We Keep in Touch by Miriam Pett Jacobs from the Netherlands. And it's an expression, I think, of this whole exhibit. Sightlines is the name of the exhibit. This whole wall has tiny little vignette quilts that connect one quilt to the next to the next. And as you look at the whole wall, you see the connection between the quilts and the connection between all of us. When we come here to Quilt Market and Quilt Festival, we discover just what we have in common is our love, our passion for quilting and fabric and stitching and color. Thanks for joining me here. I hope you enjoyed our tour of the SAQA exhibit.